The Greatsword of Solitude is the new best strength greatsword in Elden Ring. It has no fancy gimmicks, no status buildups on the weapon, no fancy moveset, and no infusions available. It simply is a strength-focused weapon that is great at being a strength-focused weapon. This weapon is obtainable very early in the DLC. The Western Nameless Mausoleum is one of the first places of interest you'll see in the gravesite plane. The Blackjail Knight is in there waiting for you as you step inside. Finish him off and he'll drop the Greatsword of Solitude for you. As mentioned in the intro, the moveset is nothing special. We have the base Greatsword moveset, with the horizontal slash as our heavy attack. While this may seem unimpressive in many other weapons, that charged heavy attack is the highlight of this build. The scaling is just incredible on the Greatsword of Solitude. Before you upgrade it even once, the sword has a B scaling in strength. Upgrade this all the way to a +10 and you'll have yourself a very high A strength scaling weapon. Sure, this weapon isn't infusible, but that strength scaling is up there with all the other greatswords while heavy infused. Our Ash of War is Solitary Moon Slash. It comes out fast enough, with a quick ranged beam attack that grants decent hyper armor. There is also a follow-up attack if you press the heavy attack button near the end of your slash. I'm sure you could cater a build around using this move, but the scaling of this weapon, and some of the new gear we got in the DLC, is simply begging us to adopt a different playstyle. There was nothing in the first half of the base game that I could not take down with a few charged heavy attacks. The easy boosts we can give ourselves in physical damage and charged heavy attacks make this move on the weapon so incredibly deadly. It was not uncommon to see some base game fights have their second phases highly truncated or completely skipped due to the astronomical damage the charged heavy attacks were doing. I may sound like a broken record now, but Golden Vow is perfect for this build. The long duration and the solid boost to both damage negation and damage is hard to pass up on. Since some of these fights end so quickly, I would also advise adding Flame Grant Me Strength. I don't use this incantation too often, since it only has a duration of 30 seconds. Thing is, with the Greatsword of Solitude, that is often all the time you'll need to end a fight. If you are facing a more difficult opponent, and know the fight will be lasting much longer than that, feel free to just use Golden Vow to save FP, and cast it again midway through the fight, to keep that buff active. I don't guard often with my playstyle, but I have to mention it for this weapon. This Greatsword has a physical guarded damage negation of 89, which puts it in range of medium shields in the game. For comparison, the Iron Greatsword only gets 73 in this aspect. If you want to use the deflecting hard tier, or just want a big weapon that doubles as a shield, you have to give this Greatsword a try. As a little added bonus to the build, I also had on the Gravebird's Black Quill armor, which gave me a boost to my jumping attacks. Before we jump into the talismans and stats of the build, we are getting ever closer to our year-end goal of 2,500 subscribers. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoy the build videos. There are two new talismans we have equipped on the build today. The Two-Headed Turtle Talisman is an upgrade from the base game Green Turtle Talisman, giving us even more stamina regen. The Two-Handed Sword Talisman will give us a great 15% boost to our two-handed moveset. The Dragon Crest Great Shield will give us better physical damage negation. Finally, the Axe Talisman makes our charged heavies even more powerful. The Deflecting Hard tier is a cool option for our physique Flask, dropping from that first Furnace Golem in Gravesite Plane, although for myself, I used the Opaline Hard tier for more damage negation. And the Spiked Cracked tier will boost our charged heavy damage even further. Our stats at RL 170 were 60 Vigor, 15 Mind to cast our incantations, along with St. Trina's Blossom for a bit more FP. 40 Endurance to medium roll with heavy armor, 80 Strength, since this is where our attack rating is coming from, 13 Dexterity to use the weapon, and 25 Faith to use Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. If you're doing an RL 150 build instead, just take that Strength from 80 to 60. There is a new best Strength Greatsword in the game. Any Strength enjoyer that is not placing this in their armory is missing out on an amazing weapon. Now I know this has nothing to do with Elden Ring, but a few weeks ago in the Mogwin Sacred Spear video, I requested names for my first two sugar pumpkins. Since then, I've had several more come in, and 3 name suggestions in total. Therefore, the name of my first 3 pumpkins will be Rolana, Renala, and Tony Soprano. On another garden note, I also grow a lot of sunflowers, and one of the blooms fell off recently, and I realized it gave me the Shadow Tree avatar Remembrance weapon.